at Dowry Creek Marina. So I'm on a road trip, Kim. I know you know where Dowry Creek is. They're our
Mhm.
friends in Belhaven, North Carolina. A lot of loopers stop here. I came by for a visit. So I don't know how good the internet connection is. I'm doing my best. I'm out here in the hinterlands on a gray, cloudy day in North Carolina. So I'm going to jump in here in just a moment. Ted, can you hear me okay? Do we have a good signal?
Yes,
Okay, great. Are we going to see you, Ted? Or are you going to are you going to eat pizza at lunch? Oh, there he is. There
I'm
he
gonna
is.
I'm gonna stay in the background.
Well, okay, but I'm going to probably call on you for some advice in just a moment. But let me go ahead and jump in and share screen. If I can figure out how to do that. I'm looking here. Let me see. How do I
You
do
should,
this?
hopefully, Ed, you should have a share screen button in your Zoom
I got it.
panel.
There we go. And
All right.
I am now sharing that screen. Can you see me now?
Yep, we've got it now.
Okay, well, thanks, Kim, for setting this up. I don't know how many participants we have in this session at this point. Do you have a head count for us yet, or is that able to be revealed?
We have got, looks like 73.
Oh, so this is big. This is good. Thank you so much, everyone, for attending. So now that we're rolling, Ed Tillett here from Waterway Guide, editor-in-chief and chief cook and bottle washer. Ted Staley, senior advisor, Skipper Bob, editor, Nav Alerts, etc. Our objective today is to give you a very quick overview of the waterwayguide.com, what we call Explorer. And I really enjoyed the presentation that Karen gave a moment ago and her husband on preparing for cruising, being aware of your surroundings, knowing how to operate your boat. Navigation and planning are such a critical part of cruising. I think everyone knows that. From chart plotters to compasses to paper charts, it's your choice. Mobile apps. And we're not going to get too much into navigation because everyone has their different preferences, but we are going to show you what Waterway Guide believes. We're entering our 75th year in 2022, which is a year from now. We're already doing our planning for that. So we've been around for 75 years. We published 21 books and magazines, mobile apps, web applications. We share our data with multiple platforms. So the information that Waterway Guide provides you as a navigator and as a planner is crucial to your safe boating, your well-being, your adventures when you're on America's waterways or in the Bahamas or in Cuba. I think everyone here knows what publications we produce, but in case you don't, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'm going to zoom out all the way on this waterwayguide.com and show you just what titles we do produce. I'm zooming way out, and you'll notice all of those polygons. I'm going to go into satellite mode. All of those polygons represent a different book. Bahamas is here, Cuba, the Southern Edition, Western Gulf Coast. We have a the Great Lakes, Volume 2, Great Lakes, Volume 1, a Northern Edition. The Northern Edition is here. We have the Chesapeake Bay, Atlantic ICW, and then a whole Skipper Bob series as well. But the objective is to show you that Waterway Explorer has really 3 or 4 main components that you should find interesting as you're out and about on the water. First and foremost, there's a tremendous amount of information about marinas, navigation alerts, anchorages, fuel stops and fuel docks, bridges and locks, which are really critical. We just took a trip down in South Florida, and I love being able to look up the bridges and find out what the schedules are, as well as locating marinas. We also have a subscription model that allows you to have access to all of the Waterway Guide published material so that you can have it not only in book form, those of you who have seen our books, and I'll show you those in a moment, but also we have it available digitally, if you will, through your subscription. So a lot to go through here, but I'm going to show you where all of the main navigation panels are so that you can make your own decision and navigate this at your own leisure. No sense in me showing you everything because it will take longer than the time we have allotted. So in any event, these are all our publications on the left, as you see as I roll over them. So if I wanted to look at the Atlantic ICW, because I'm going to be in that area, I can click on that particular highlight on the left side. This is known as an info tab, by the way. It collapses with the arrow in and out. So I clicked on the Atlantic ICW, and now I'm zoomed in to show the entire coverage area of the Atlantic ICW. But I want to zoom in a little tighter, so I'm using my mouse zoom now to roll in tighter. I can also use the plus sign down here, and I can zoom into whatever area I'm interested in, and each of these polygons represent a specific chapter. So I am now in, according to this up here, chapter 6 of the Atlantic ICW. And as I continue to click on and zoom in, I get to more, and if I want to click out, zoom out, I can find another chapter. Here's what I would like to do. I'm going to do a search for the location where I am right now, which happens to be Dowry Creek Marina in North Carolina. I'm visiting with our friends here. I'm on a road trip this week, just to show you the advantage of technology. I'm out and about, good internet signal, and I'm sitting here at Dowry Creek Marina. When I click on it, I'm automatically taken to Dowry Creek Marina, right in the center of the screen. I'm using this menu to show my backdrop. I'm in satellite view now because I was earlier. If I want to go to street view, I simply click on street and it populates. Always important when you're looking for that restaurant or directions. If I want to see it in a Navionics chart underlayment, I can click on Navionics charts, and this mirrors my Navionics chart set that I have on my boat or in my on my app. If I want to look at Noaa Charts, I can click on Noaa. The nice thing about that is it gives you options for viewing the background behind you. So we know we were looking for Dowry Creek Marina. We're zoomed in at a particular level. I can come over, I can click on the plus sign and zoom in even tighter, and looking at the entranceway with the red and green day markers, and then I can click on the marina, and when I do, I have a listing, basic information. There are 31 reviews on Dowry Creek. Over here on the left side, I can click on full listing, and that marina is now presented to me with all of the information necessary for me to make a decision on whether or not I want to stay there, what their rates are, approach and docking, fuel type, total slips, amenities and facilities, what's nearby, special events, points of contact, and the all-important reviews for those folks who think it's important to know what others are thinking about a facility. When I want to go back, I simply click on the View and Waterway Explorer at the top, and I'm taken back to where I was. And in this instance, I'm now looking at a satellite view. I'm going to go back to Street View. I'm going to zoom out, and I've now shown you how to find marinas. I can either search in the search bar for a city. Let's say I'm going to Marathon, Florida. Marathon. As I type it in, it oftentimes populates. I click on it, and it automatically directs me to Marathon Marina. Now, I'm using an internet connection. I'm in Street View, and there are all the marinas in Marathon. But suppose I'm not interested in marinas. I'm interested in an anchorage. I come over to this drop-down menu in the upper left, and I click on Anchorages and Free Docks. We also list free docks. Some folks, I love free docks like anyone else. If I don't want to stay at a marina, I want to tie up at a dock for a few hours or overnight, we list anchorages and free docks. As soon as I click on that, an anchorage symbol pops up, and I am able to see different anchorages. Very similar listing as marinas, full listing. It gives me a location, longitude, latitude. This one has not been rated by anyone, but it's an anchorage nonetheless. If I want to look for service facilities because I need some work done on my boat, I can simply click on the services, and I get a little symbol that shows a wrench and a gear, which shows a service facility. This happens to be Driftwood Marina and Storage. This is everything that they offer using what we call accordion menus, travel lifts, 60-ton max, repair services, yes, etc. If I want, I go back to Waterway Explorer. If I want to find fuel for the boat, I simply click on fuel for diesel, if that's what I'm running. And not only do I get locations, I also get prices. These prices are updated by the locations themselves, as well as our own in-house staff that calls out to these locations occasionally This one was last updated. Today is the 2nd. It was updated today. They either went in and plugged that information in at Keith Fisheries Marina to give you the latest price, or one of our personnel contacted them to get the latest price. So they're $3.23. Let's see who's nearby. These guys updated today. Key Colony Beach, they're at $3.01 or 2 cents. You also may want to click into these to make sure that it represents tax or no tax along the way. That's information that you'll find inside the listing as well. So I'm going to go back to Waterway Explorer.
And
Go ahead.
just information, we report on over 600 marinas
Fuel prices.
for fuel pricing.
That's right. And we have over 8,000 marinas in our database. 4,000 of those are in the United States and Bahamas and Cuba. Very few marinas in Cuba, but nonetheless, we do report those. The other 4,000 are scattered across the globe, from New Zealand to Brazil to England in the North Sea. Also looking at fuel prices, I can look at gas prices if my boat uses gasoline. Bridges and locks, we're going to get into Nav. Let's go ahead and jump into Nav Alerts real quick. Nav Alerts are just what they sound like. They are postings using a red outlined yellow triangle with an exclamation point. It simply says there are navigation alerts that you should be aware of if you're transiting that area. And those navigation alerts come from multiple sources. The primary source is Local Notice to Mariners. Ted Staley, who's on this call, works this every single day by updating, scouring, purging old navigation alerts and putting new alerts in. Local Notice to Mariners. We have crowdsourced Nav Alerts, people who are out there who say, hey, I saw this. This is interesting. I'd like to post this. We verify it. We make sure that the information is readable, that it's understandable, that it's accurate. We cross-check it. That's what Ted does. And then we have a third source for navigation alerts, which is a fellow by the name of one of our cruising editors, of Bob Shearer, who transits this area and posts a tremendous amount of navigation alerts, especially for the shallow areas of Florida, really mostly South Carolina and Georgia. We also have inlet navigation alerts as well. We could spend an entire day on navigation alerts. I would encourage you, as you get ready to cruise, to look at the navigation alerts as part of your planning and determine whether or not they are going to impact your travel. It's your decision. You make the decision of how safe you want your boat to be operated, and those navigation alerts are, in my opinion, indispensable for looking ahead. I've zoomed out so far now that I'm into a chapter, so I'm going to zoom back in, and I would like to show you, after navigation alerts, bridges and locks. As you come through the Intracoastal Waterway with a vessel that may be, well, any height vessel, it's important to know the bridges, but there comes a time with a sailboat or a high-masted vessel that you're going to want to know what that bridge is. So the Crescent Beach State Route 206 bridge is located at mile 788. When I click on the full listing, it tells me that it's a bascule bridge. The vertical clearance is only 25 feet when it's closed. The horizontal clearance is 90 feet. Obviously, 2 boats can fit through there, more than 2 boats, but you've got 90 feet of horizontal clearance, but the height is 25 feet. And if you want to know more about it, you simply look at the schedule and it says it opens on signal. So you signal that bridge through VHF. In this particular instance, notice that it says VHF channel 9. There's also a telephone number. So here's how to contact it. And then, of course, the obligatory disclaimer: bridge schedules are always subject to temporary change. So you should always check Explorer here, or check the vessel, check the bridge itself. So that's bridge listings. I go back to Waterway Explorer. By the way, be aware that if you were looking at waterwayguide.com on your telephone, which you can do because it is not a downloadable app, it is waterwayguide.com. I'm going to go right back to the home page. I've clicked on this up here. This is my hometown, Providence Forge, Virginia. That's where I was last. And let's see if it recognizes where I'm located now, because I'm using an internet signal. It does not. So if I want to locate where I am, I can simply say Bellhaven. I'm typing in the location. And as I type it in, it looks for it, It says Belhaven, North Carolina. You must click on this and then click go, and I will be automatically directed to my location where I am. Now, when you are using your telephone, allow your telephone or your iPad or your computer to know your location. Therefore, you can be locatable, if you will, and the information that's returned to you in Explorer will give you, quickly will show you where you are. You can also, down here in these menus on the left, you can say, find me, locate me, reset bearing to north. I can say, find my location with this right here. And if I were, let's just for fun, let's see if it'll locate me. Let's go back to Marathon. We go to Marathon, Florida, click on Marathon. This is an internet connection I'm using at Dowry Creek's Captain Lounge in Belhaven, North Carolina. If I say locate me, I click on this, and sure enough, I was located by my internet signal, by my IP address. If you're on your phone, it will locate you with GPS. So, another interesting feature of this, waterwayguide.com, for planning purposes, is that I can right-click on and push forward, and I get a bird's eye view of where I'm located, which is kind of interesting because as I zoom out, it gives me a better sense of where I am on the planet, and I can reset my heading to north by simply clicking this button here. And then if I want to take it back, I grab it with my right and pull down, right-clicking. We also have a measuring tool, which I love the measuring tool. I just clicked on it here. It turned every symbol off on the map. And if I want to know how far it is from Washington, North Carolina with the measuring tool, I simply start dragging, clicking, pulling, clicking. And I know that if I wanted to make a day trip, it would be approximately 36.86 nautical miles, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, as you see the information. When I want to eliminate that, I simply click on the ruler. It asks me, do I want to export that data? I do not. It's not exportable to your chart plotter, but I could put it on a spreadsheet if I wish. Cancel. I do not want to export, and I'm taken back out of the measuring tool. If you want to post, use this add plus symbol here. If I want to post a navigation alert, I can click on navigation alert. I can set it right here. Tell us who you are, what you want to say, and submit it. It comes to our staff, Ted first and foremost. He will assess it, determine whether or not it's a valid navigation alert, contact you if we need further information, and we can then post it in our navigation alerts. If you want to add a service facility or a marina or a free dock or an anchorage, you may do it with this symbol here, and it becomes part of our database, and we share it with not only those who visit waterwayguide.com, but also share it with those who use our data in Aquamap, iNavix, CIQ Pilot, and other mobile apps that we share our data with through trading partners. So I've shown you search functionality. I've shown you the different features. By the way, you don't have to click on this drop-down menu. If you see a bridge and you want to know about that bridge, click on the bridge on the screen, and the bridge will come up if you see it. I will go back to Waterway Explorer. Internet is loading. Anchorages, navigation alerts, they're all there. We always default to marina mode as a way to show, first of all, marinas are always safe havens, and you can usually find help at a marina if you need it. So we always show those first and foremost. Featured marinas usually have nice photographs for approach and docking, so that you can get a sense of what the facility looks like as you pull in. All right, I'm going to go back to Waterway Guide Home and terminate this quick Explorer overview and take any questions that we may have. I'm going to click on the Home button in the upper left. And I wanted you to be aware that you have, let me move my over here out of the way. Notice that there's a login button up here. I am logged in under my credentials because I have a subscription to Waterway Guide. If I wanted to log out and I'm not a member of Waterway Guide, I can simply create a credential for that. I can either purchase a Waterway subscription, premium, annual, or monthly, which gives me all sorts of various, and of course I'm already a member, so I'm not going to walk you through this. I'm going to let you do this on your own. I'm going to take this out of my cart and exit out. But when you go to Waterway Guide, you will see log in or subscribe up here. If I want to learn about subscription, click on the subscription button at the upper left. And let's see if it takes me. I can also join for free. And here's all the plans and what you get. The books, access to boat US memberships. We will email you navigation alerts live, email you fuel prices live, email you a subscription to our newsletter. It comes out every Wednesday, Nav Alerts on Friday. I encourage you to explore all of this as really America's leading resource, the Cruising Authority. After 75 years, we've been working really hard to put it together. If you want to buy a book, you go to the shop, Waterway Guide. Here are all the books. I think I just clicked out of them. As you are well familiar with our books, news and events. We have all sorts of news and information in a repository. The latest newsletter from Waterway Guide is located here if you want to look at it. It comes out every Wednesday. And all sorts of great features inside waterwayguide.com, and then a directory, for lack of a better term, we call it that. If you want to just look at Nav Alerts, you can click here, gas prices, fuel prices, bridges and locks, etc. So quite a robust web application, and that's my overview. Ted, if you have anything to offer, jump in. If not, we're ready to take some questions if we have any.
Yep, we do have some questions for you, and thanks for that overview, Ed. I know Waterway Guide Explorer on my desktop is my go-to tool for answering questions when I'm sitting at my desk, so thank you for developing such a robust tool. Several questions for you, though. First of all, Brian would like to know, why is the Florida Waterway Guide, and I think we're talking about the book now, why is the Florida Waterway Guide written for counterclockwise direction instead of clockwise, which is the usual direction for loopers?
Well, if I may, Kim, we didn't write it for loopers. Sorry.
No, that's okay. That's I'm assuming that you followed the direction of the ICW mile markers.
Yeah, you know, we're going back 75 years here. When Waterway Guide was first written, someone had to pick a direction, and it went from north to south.
Mm-hmm.
So sorry, Brian. I know it's kind of difficult to turn it around sometimes, but we're challenging your navigation skills daily with that.
There you go.
By the way,
I will comment that several years ago, we did look at trying to write the guide in a reverse direction and offer it both ways. We did a test of a few chapters. The whole book has to be rewritten, of course. The dilemma that you end up with after you do that is, how do you determine how many of each version you publish? And your retailers then have a duplication of stock keeping units, which becomes a big problem.
So Brian, that's a good question. I didn't mean to be flippant with that remark. We get it on an occasional basis. Someone says, gosh, I'm going that way, and it's written for that way. And for loopers, everyone's going north coming up the coast, and it's written for southern. I hear you loud and clear. That's why. All of those reasons it was done originally, and to have two versions, it's very difficult. So it is a challenge.
Well, and the vast majority of people are going to actually go both ways on the waterway. You know, if they're snowbirders, they're going south and heading back north.
Right.
So loopers are kind of special and unique in that we're probably only going to go through in one direction. So
we love the loopers. So we you know, I guess we could turn one around for you, but now we have to go through, and every time we say turn right, you have to turn left. Whenever we say port, we have to say, you know, we have to flip that around to starboard. You know, so well, you know, red is on your right, now red is on your left if it's on that. So anyhow, it's kind of, it would be a challenge, Brian. Would you like that task? Anytime you're ready to jump in.
So another question for you, Ed. As you're working your way through Waterway Guide Explorer, when you're moving short distances on the map, Ken says it's a little frustrating that the numbered items change. For example, Marina A, let's say, may start out as number 1, but as you move, it becomes number 3. And I think that's because it's adjusting for what you're closest to. You can probably explain that better than I, though. But is there a way to have them keep the same order number while they're still within the same view?
No, ma'am. As soon as you move the map, you're right. That is an interesting. So let me tell you why we did that. We felt like that the numbering system for the info tab on the left side of the screen, which gave you an order. So you saw when I played with it a moment ago, when I went to Dowry Creek, they're right in the center of the screen. They're number 1. There's one reason we did it, strictly from an economical standpoint, is that those marinas that are featured, that want to pay to promote themselves, get what's called a weighted search result. They rise to the top. So that's an economic decision that we made. The second point, to Kim's point, is as you slip the map and slide the map, even if you were in a bunch of marinas that weren't around, we're always going to give you number 1, which is in the center, because our designers at the website, when they were putting that together, felt like we had to show an order on the left. It is a little disconcerting sometimes from a user standpoint. I agree with you. I will tell you that Aquamap doesn't search those because they just put the data out there. So I hear you. I don't know the answer to that, how to make it any better, other than when you get the view you want, take a look at the marinas and either save them off or take screenshots. I don't know how to answer that question.
Okay, we have a couple questions from Marcus, and I just did see that he's got to drop off in a second. So let's see if we can get his in real quick. He is wondering what the entire book series cost and if you get a free subscription to the online tools when you buy the books.
We have a special Looper package, and I wish I could tell you the dollar amount. I don't. It's on the ship store. And to answer your question, if you buy all the books, we do not have a subscription model, but you don't need to be a subscriber. Once you have the books, if you want them online as well, let's talk about that, Kim. There may be a deal there we could offer loopers, especially at this point. If you buy all the books, no, you don't get a subscription to all the content on the computer as well. So that the answer is no, you don't. But we're always willing to talk with you about that, especially if you're going to be a looper, because loopers are very, very special. We do have a mobile app coming out soon, which is a whole new game for Waterway Guide. I'm just planting the seed to let you know that the content will be available and downloadable on your mobile device. This is a web application or a website. This will be a true mobile application with very much the same functionality. So if you haven't started the loop yet, and you're going to start it sometime soon, let's talk about that. And Kim, let's keep that discussion open about subscription capability for those who buy the entire loop package.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. A
And
couple
Kim,
questions. Yeah, go ahead, Ted.
There is a looper discount of 20% on the guides.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for reminding everybody of that. Yes, for any of the hard copy guides that you purchase, it's a 20% discount for AGLCA members. So definitely take advantage of that because that's a very generous discount. And speaking of discounts, Bill mentioned that it's a comment, not a question, but he saved $140 on fuel yesterday by using Waterway Guide's fuel price data. So he thanks you for that.
Just send us 10% as a thank you.
So a couple of questions on how the Waterway Guide data is integrated and or embedded in Navionics. So can you talk a little bit to that for us, Ed?
Yes, short answer is Waterway Guide data, which is not embedded in Navionics. Navionics does not currently use Waterway Guide information in its platforms. Aquamap is the most robust of the mobile applications that embeds Waterway Guide information. And we call it data, or it's information by the time it appears on the screen. iNavix, CIQ Pilot, Aquamap, and we believe soon Ray Marine, but that's down the road, and a Humminbird, which probably no one out there has a Humminbird chart plotter. But Aquamap, CIQ Pilot, iNavix are the big 3 mobile apps that take our information, all those data points that I just showed you, marinas, services, anchorages, fuel, etc., and put it inside their app. But Navionics does not.
Okay. A couple of questions about the hardware to best run Waterway Guide's data. So one person, Seth, would like to know if you recommend, is a laptop best, a tablet, or does a smartphone work just fine? And then David also, to add on to that, asked which tablet is there a preference on which tablet you would suggest to run Waterway Guide?
Waterwayguide.com is a website, so it will work on any device that is internet capable. Everything that I just showed you on, I have an iPhone 7, small one. I can look at waterwayguide.com and do everything that I was doing on the computer screen a moment ago. I can do it on my iPad. I can do it on a Verizon tablet. I can do it on my computer. I can do it on a Mac. It doesn't matter what platform you're on. Everything that I just showed you is available. The interface is different on a phone because it has to go into a web. It has to compile all that information and show it. And then what's it called? The web. What's it called, Ted? I forgot it. We call it intelligent web design. In any event, it's going to display on your screen differently on a phone than it is on a computer. But you need nothing special for waterwayguide.com. Everything that I just showed you is available on any platform that is internet capable.
Okay. And you talked about the app. Is that going to be for iPhones as well as Android? And when is that coming out?
The app, we're probably going to start launching that in the next month or so, and it will be iOS platform only initially. That's what it was designed for. That would be iOS 7 and above, I believe, for all devices, iPads, et cetera, 5th generation and up. So it will be iOS, and that's an app. It's a little different animal, but it's going to be nice.
Okay. Douglas just asked, how about Garmin or Raymarine chart plotters? I'm assuming he's asking about whether Waterway Guide's data is embedded in Garmin or Raymarine.
No, we have been talking with Raymarine for a long time, inside baseball here for the HELC 18, and we think we're close with them embedding our information in their chart plotter base maps, but it hasn't happened yet, and it is not in Garmin, which also owns Navionics. So Garmin and Navionics does not use the Waterway Guide information or Waterway Guide data in their chart sets or on their chart plotters.
Okay. Mark would like to know, what are the Waterway Guide points for?
Well, you accumulate points as you post reviews, navigation alerts, comments, as you interact and engage with Waterway Guide on the website. You garner points, and eventually we send you koozies and hats, and you get a book, and then you get a subscription, and you get all sorts of cool stuff as you build points up. So you just acquire points as you engage. We have, since we took over the company about 7 years ago, we've really focused on enhancing our crowdsource capabilities. We believe that boaters talking to other boaters is very important, as does AGLCA. We also believe in verifying every single data point that comes in and piece of information. So it's not a free-for-all at Waterway Guide. It has to be verified, has to be accurate. We have to confirm that it's valid to the rest of the boating community. But you have observations, comments, reviews, those kinds of things. You post them, you build points, and we thank you down the road with Waterway Guide stuff.
Okay, we're running a little bit over. We've got 2 more questions, so I'm going to see if we can get these in. Ed, Mike would like to know, if you subscribe to the online service, do you still need the books? Is it additional information in the books, or is it really redundant to what's offered online?
They complement each other, and I would submit that if you're going to do a big trip, you should have both. You should have really the chart plotter, a mobile app, the Waterway Guide, and waterwayguide.com at your fingertips, and whatever chart plotter chart set you're using. So they complement each other, and it's not 100% redundant. No, I would submit that it's good to have both. Okay.
And we had another one pop in. You mentioned Bob Shearer as one of your cruising editors, otherwise known as Bob423. Are Bob's tracks available through Waterway Guide?
Yes. All the navigation alerts that Bob posts, if you dig into that navigation alert, you will see at the bottom of it, download my GPX tracks here. You will be redirected. Another tab will open up. You can then go out to his repository of GPX tracks, grab them, pull them into your chart plotter of choice, and have that information available to you. in addition to having the navigation alert and the explanation that he posts there in the Nav Alert available to you as well.
Okay, so the last question I kind of saved for last because I know it's a topic that it's kind of near and dear to your heart, Ed. And now that we're short on time, maybe there's a quick answer. If not, those of you who perhaps don't have an interest because it's a little specialized can feel free to drop off. But the question is Cuba open to US citizens? And I know that you have cruised Cuba, so give us the down low on the current status. And I'm not sure if that question is related to coronavirus or otherwise, but there are, of course, some hoops to jump through to be able to cruise Cuba. So any information you can share on current status?
Real short, it's still in a major lockdown. United States citizens, there are a lot of barriers to US citizens going to Cuba in terms of our own legal requirements in this country of getting out. Cuba will welcome you with open arms given the coronavirus C-19 situation. So check on that if you're deciding to go. If you want to take the risk and go on a boat or on any other mode of transportation, the Cubans will welcome you. The United States has a lockdown on U.S. travel to the Cuban islands as we speak, and we anticipate that'll probably change in the next couple of years.
All right. Ed Tillett, Ted Staley, Waterway Guide, thank you for your long-term AGLCA sponsorship, and thank you for presenting today. For the 70+ Looper-palooza registrants who also joined us during their lunch hour, we thank you. This evening, we have our route briefing coming up at 6:30, and then our Great Loop Trivia game begins at 8:15. So you should all have links for the parts that you've registered for. And without further delay, again, thanks to our presenters, thanks to our attendees. We will see you later this evening. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thanks to all who joined.
Indeed.